Okay, to start this, I'm going to explain a little bit on how to hold this, and it might have the impression that you're pushing on this all the time, but I'm not really. What I'm doing is now you got to keep in mind that I'm left-handed here, so you're going to want to do it just the opposite, if not. But I'm going to hold this as close down to the tool or the knife as I can get, and the reason I'm doing that is so I can raise and lower this. If you look at it there, I can raise and lower to put pressure and take pressure away. Okay, and also on the top, when I hold the top of it, instead of just pushing down on this, I've got a finger hooked underneath this, and I'm actually using that to lift a lot. So you got to keep in mind that this whole thing is about finesse and it's control. You've got to keep control in order to make this, to get the best results from this. And then who knows, but as far as how you're finessing it, watch how light I can make these little marks across here, just like that. And I'm just allowing it just to touch as you go along, and you can consistently make small marks. I mean, it'd be real hard to do any of that, and I can do one of them. Just be the equivalent of it is just touching it, just like that. So this is how much finesse you can get out of this. Okay, but to get the control, regardless of how much tooling you have, you need to learn the control, as I showed you in the other video, or where I was explaining the equipment and how it worked. I'm going to start this, and I'm going to draw me a straight line, and then I'm going to do I'll do a curved line because I know how to control it. But keep doing these lines until you can cut. Follow without changing your line. Okay, and you're going to want to run this about the first setting as you're doing it. As you can see, I can just follow right along that line, and the key is relaxing with it, not putting a lot of pressure, but just being able to let it float. Okay, but you can cut these straight lines and cut as many straight lines as you can get until you can have the line cut without seeing any of the line you drew. And then after you do that, go to some curved lines, okay, and go as slow as you need to. Okay, I'm slowing this down with the foot pedal, but that's as slow as you need to go, or go as slow as you need to in order to follow that line. And you can slow it down with the desk controller to get those results, but you can see here how slow I can move this along. And so it's really not any problem controlling, as long as you don't try to go fast. Okay, but then you can work your way up as you go. So then once you can follow that line without seeing any of the line that you initially drew, then you can go on to a flower. And so here I've pre-drawn a flower in there, and what we're going to work on here. And so I'm going to show you the control that you can get. So as you start cutting with this, I'm going to follow the line, and it's just like cutting your other curved lines there. You can cut the line, go right around, treat it just like you would your swivel knife, and you cut. Now when I come to the end of this, as I come to the end, I'm going to let up, and I'm going to kind of slightly lift, put very little, if any, pressure, and I can come out to nothing on my lines, on my end cuts. Now I can put a little more pressure for how depth I want, but it's not very little pressure that is being put on this. And so I'm going to cut down to here, right before I get to where I want it to end. I'll let up on my speed from my foot controller. And remember, you can slow that down, and then you just follow it. What you're doing with this is that you're drawing and carving at the same time. It's a lot like engraving, so you can feather this whole thing out. Now I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to cut this way. Okay, now here, if I want to start in that, then I'll start up and I'll just barely touch, and I'll work in and let the weight of the machine go on there, and then it'll cut out from that point, and I'll cut around to here. But remembering, it's all control, it's not speed, because even the slowest speed that you're going to go with this thing is faster than what you're going to do tapping with a mallet. You're just going to get a, you could never maintain, because you could do this 24/7 if you wanted to, and you could never maintain that with a mallet. Right here, I'll start in light, come in, let the weight, I'm holding the weight off, then I'll let it come in gradually. Go as slow as you need to go. If you need to stop while you're doing a turn, just stop and let it run. Then as you get going, come on around here. Okay, all that. Here I'm going to start back here. I'm going to go in real easy. Let the weight of it settle in as you come around. Okay, keep going right on around. Make your cut. There you have it. Okay, I'll come back here. Start again. Cutting that as I come to the end. I'll let up a little bit on my speed. Okay, start again. And as I'm coming around, I want to come to the end of this and I want it to feather a little bit more, so I'll let up on my speed. Okay, now I'll come back here and catch this one. The key to all of it is keeping to where you can see it. That's the, I guess, the biggest key. I'm going to come right to the edge of this right here and we'll stop. Okay, now I'll come back here, keeping my fingers close. If I start getting further away, I start losing control again. If I keep my hand right down by it, my fingers down, then I can control what's going on. Okay, back around here. And right here, as I come to the end, I'll slow down. Go into it. Now here we'll cut some curves. And there again, it's just following the line and go as slow as you need to follow the line. And there's not much effort involved in it. I'll start back over here. And there again, you just keep following. Turning. If you need to stop, then stop. Come back here and we'll do this one. You can go any direction that you want to go. You're not hindered because it's doing the work and you don't really have to force it. So it's not like if you were to take a swivel knife, and a lot of times you have trouble going different directions with the swivel knife. So you don't have to move your leather around nearly as much. Okay, we'll cut that. Come right to the end. Just as I come to the end there, I'll let up on it. Okay, now we're going to cut this flower out here. I'll start in here, right in there, go into it, come around, make my turn, just like that. Come to the end, let up on the pedal, slow it down a little bit, come in again, and this is pretty much, my hand is resting, my top hand is resting on it. Now I'm easing up on the speed. Come around here. Let up on your pedal whenever you want to slow down a little bit. You don't necessarily have to always use your controller. If I want to come into that, go in this direction, then I'll start in real light. Now I'll let the weight of the machine take over. If I want to put a little pressure on it, I can. If I don't want to, it just depending how deep you want to go and what you want to do. And there you go. And we'll come back over here and do this spot. There again, remember, keep your hand close to it so you can lift pressure off and you can spin it at the same time. Just like that. Okay. Come around one more, and we've just about got this whole thing cut out now. And the nice thing about this is that there's no fatigue, there's no wear and tear on your body while you're doing this. You don't have, as I come into that, I'll slow down. You don't have the cramps, you don't have the things, but there we go. We've got it all cut out, and without much effort. Remember, it's all about finesse. If you come back here and you want to make your little marks, remember, that's how light you can hit this thing. I mean, you can just barely touch it. And you can do the same thing with all your tools. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to show you is beveling, and we'll get back to that. So the next one will be beveling.